Good morning. Welcome to this session. Today I will be talking about uh, Gulliver's Travels by Swift. And the session can be entitled A Journey into Otherness. Okay, so um, Gulliver's Travels is uh, an adventure story that features a hero, Lemuel Gulliver, who is involved in a series of voyages, and these voyages lead him to unrecognized islands. He finds himself each time in remote islands inhabited by um, animals and humans or creatures of extraordinary sizes. Um, and these unusual creatures, they have different ways of behaving and different ways of thinking. He goes through these voyages, which are to be considered as misadventures, in fact. Okay. And after each misadventure, the hero always manages to return to his homeland in England. But once he recovers from each experience or these extraordinary experiences, he again decides to depart on a new voyage. The book is made up of four voyages. Okay, four voyages, and the novel or the book is structured into four distinct parts. Each part is devoted to a particular voyage, a particular adventure or misadventure. So the first part is devoted to the first voyage, and the title of the first part is A Voyage to Lilliput. In this voyage, Gulliver, Lemuel Gulliver, the hero, witnesses a storm. His ship is caught in a storm, a destructive storm, and he finds himself on an island called Lilliput. So after the shipwreck, because he goes through because of the destructive storm. The ship is destructively struck, and he finds himself on an island. When he awakes, because he loses consciousness in the course of this destructive storm and violent shipwreck, he loses consciousness, and when he awakes after shipwreck, uh, he finds out that he has been captured by the inhabitants of the island, the Lilliputians. These inhabitants are dwarfs, creatures, human beings of extremely small sizes. So the captive hero um, is then arrested, but he is well treated by these dwarfs, these Lilliputians. A deal is struck between the Lilliputians and the giant, the giant Gulliver, because he perceives them as dwarfs. They are dwarfs uh, uh, to him, but he is or appears as a giant of a gigantic size in the perception of the Lilliputians. Okay, so a deal is then agreed on between the giant captive and the dwarfs, who mean to use the extraordinary size of the hero and implement it against their rivals, inhabitants of a nearby island, okay, called Blefusco. So they mean or they want to use Gulliver's gigantic size against in order to enslave their neighbors. Okay, so Gulliver manages to escape by manipulating or using a large warship, and then he manages to escape and sail away. Also, he encounters an English ship which rescues him and takes him to England. So the title is of this session is A Journey into Otherness. So already the first voyage to Lilliput is a journey into otherness. First, the hero finds himself in an exotic place, remote place. Okay, so the landscape is different. It's the other word. The other is the unknown. Okay, the other is the unfamiliar, probably the uncanny, the exotic. So, so this is a journey into otherness, a journey to a remote territory with unknown inhabitants, extraordinary, different creatures. And the question of size is a question of difference in size, but it is also a difference in perception. What appears to be a dwarf in the perception of Gulliver, okay, is normal for the dwarfs, and Gulliver, in the perception of the dwarfs, is a giant. So where is normality here? Okay, who? So everyone considers themselves as being normal, meaning they are the norm, okay? And they adopt this normative process in which consists in expecting the others to abide by their own perception and their own rules because they consider themselves as the norm. All right, so here otherness is a matter of perception and interpretation. Okay, so I think the lesson here or the interpretation of the story as a whole, Gulliver's Travels, deserves to be considered as a journey into otherness. So, this is the first step in this long journey into otherness. In the second part, a voyage to Brobdingnag, uh, uh, Brobdingnag, Brobdingnag, Lilliput first, second Brobdingnag. What are these names? They are exotic names. They are different. Okay, so already the choice of extraordinary names, words, and the way they are implemented in this text, in this fictional text, already this is a sign of the omnipresence of otherness, because the other is the exotic, is the outlandish, is the maybe the bizarre. And this impression, overall impression, is corroborated by the choice of uh, uh, exotic words, or words that are unfamiliar, okay, to the speaker of English, particularly in England, okay, because the Gulliver is uh, his homeland is in England. So what happens in the voyage to Brobdingnag? Um, when Gulliver recovers from his first voyage, he again departs on a new voyage, during which he is asked to go and find water on an island in the company of a few crew members. And on that island, he discovers that the island is inhabited by humans of giant sizes. So the crew members are terrified. They flee. They escape, leaving Gulliver the hero alone behind. So he is then abandoned by his crew members at the sight of the giants. The giants who find no difficulty in making him their captive. So Gulliver is Gulliver the dwarf, because he is perceived as a dwarf because of his extremely small size compared with the size of the inhabitants of this outlandish Ireland. Again, he's taken home by a farmer, and he's treated with care and kindness. Okay, and he is taken home by one of the farmers, and the daughter of that farmer uh, takes good care of the captive. So the small size Gulliver is taken by the giant farmer to be shown around across the territory, and he's shown around as an object of curiosity in the perception of the giant onlookers, because he is a dwarf, okay, in their perception. Um, Gulliver is eventually sold to the queen, and he finds himself uh, within the palace, and he is involved in discussions with the king of the Ireland. And it is interesting that discussion between the king and of the giants and the small size Gulliver. They debate a number of issues such as customs and ways of life in back home in England, and they are compared with the customs and way of thinking, way of life adopted on the island by these giant creatures. All right, so here again in the second voyage, uh, 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 otherness is a big issue.